Hi everyone. I wanted to jump on here today and share some pertinent information that I think is good for everybody. And because it's something that's been coming up a lot this week. I am running a challenge where people are supposed to be tracking their food every day. And what I am seeing is that people feel really bad about the things that they eat. And every person that I've ever worked with has told me at one point or another that they were bad that day because they ate something. And I don't mean like they ate bad. They don't say, I ate something bad today. They said, I was bad today, meaning not a good person because they ate something that they deem as bad. I've also had clients tell me that they are a piece of shit because they've eaten something that they deem as bad. I mean, that's pretty extreme. I guarantee you, my dear, that you are not a piece of shit for eating a piece of cake. That is not how it works. We cannot assign emotional value to food. It doesn't work that way. Food is just food. It's just food. It's just to nourish your body, to fill up your stomach, to give you energy, to provide you the nutrients that you need day to day to live. You need food to live. It is not intrinsically bad. It is not intrinsically good. Some foods are good for some people. Some foods are bad for some people. We can't just assign it a quality and then decide that we are also that quality as long as we are consuming that food. That is not how it works, and we need to get out of this mindset. It's quite dangerous. And let's take spinach, for example. So, most people would say that spinach is a good food, right? All right, it's got nutrients, it's got iron, it's got lots of things that are good for you, and maybe you should eat a ton of it. Well, I can't eat spinach. It makes me sick to my stomach. I will be nauseous the rest of the day. I will have all sorts of gastrointestinal issues. It is not a good food for me. It is a bad food. That food actually literally makes me feel like shit physically. This is the kind of thing that we need to be making sure that we are differentiating between. If you eat a food that makes you feel bad physically, it's probably a good idea to cut it out of your diet. If you're having a really hard time cutting those things that make you feel bad out of your diet, then you most likely have an addiction issue with that specific food. Sugar is one of the most highly addictive substances on the planet. Take that in for a minute. Nobody's talking about this. Yeah, there's a little bit here and there. Everybody knows sugar is addictive, but did you realize that sugar is the most addictive substance that we consume on a regular basis? That is equally as addictive as nicotine and heroin and cocaine? There are thousands of studies that prove that that is correct. If you would like to argue that it is not correct, you're going to have to do some major research and maybe even open up your own scientific lab and do your own research and try to find a different study that proves that wrong. 93% of lab rats in a particular study were given the choice between sugar water or water that was laced with nicotine. 93% of those lab rats went for the sugar water every single time, meaning that sugar is more addictive than nicotine. So, what's going on here? Almost every processed food has a ton of added sugar in it. The health and fitness industry gives you products that have sugar in them and then tells you that you're a bad person for not being able to meet those societal standards that are completely ridiculous and not obtainable for most people anyways. When your job is to be a fitness model and that is your main focus all day, every single day, then yes, you're going to have an amazing body. Yes, it's going to be easier for you to maintain, but not everybody can be at the gym for 4 hours a day. Not everybody has the genetic makeup to look like that. In fact, it's about 5%. 5% of women have the genetics to be incredibly thin and have less body fat. 5%. And we are all holding ourselves to these standards that are completely insane and not obtainable because society tells us to. This is harmful. This is dangerous. We have to heal our relationship with food. We have to heal our relationship with ourselves. And we have to tell society, you can get fucked. This is not okay anymore. People need to talk about these things. Sugar addiction is a real thing. And what does sugar do? Sugar adds to visceral fat. What does visceral fat do? Visceral fat surrounds your organs. It causes pressure on arteries. It causes heart disease. What is the number one killer in the United States? Heart disease, yes. And we're not talking about this. We're not doing anything about this. We have a nation that is addicted to processed foods and sugars. And we are not healing our relationship with our food. We are literally advertising that it is your fault. It's not. You can do something about it. You can eat consciously. You don't have to be scared to write down that you ate a piece of cake that day. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. You are fighting what is literally a physical addiction. And it's hard. It's not easy. And it's everywhere. And it's totally socially acceptable. And people bring you candy for every single holiday. You don't feel good? You're upset? Your boyfriend broke up with you? Eat some ice cream. Have some brownies. Right? They give you that dopamine hit. It makes you feel better for 5 seconds. That's what you want it for. It plays on the pleasure pathway in the brain that all narcotics play on in the brain. If you have ever met somebody who has recently got off of opiates, they are most likely to gain weight. Why are they gaining weight? It's not just because they eat more when they're not high. It's because they want that dopamine hit that comes from high sugar and high fatty foods. They have switched from one addiction to the other. Now, I'm going to tell you that that is definitely harm reduction, and I would much rather see a person eat a cupcake than shoot up tar heroin into their veins, of course. But we have to talk about this. We have to stop assigning emotions to food, and we have to stop thinking that we're bad people because we've eaten something that we deem bad. It's nonsense. You are not a bad person for battling what is actually an addiction to processed foods and sugar.